really connected so we don't miss anything important. Happy Sunday, May 25th. I'm here with Tony Ho. Tony, where
No,
you
bro.
live now? Tony, where you live now?
I'm in Kailua.
Okay. Are you fully retired or partial or not at all or what?
I am fully retired, bro.
As of how long? As of how long?
The end of 23, December 31st, 2023. I bailed.
Wow. Right on. How many years did you have doing what you did?
Uh, I worked for pretty much, well, from when I started, 40 years.
Holy moly, that's
Yeah,
a
it
way
was
that
kind of, it was a good run, after college and stuff, I came home and I started a couple businesses, and then, I was kind of doing some stuff part time. Um, we had a company that was um, selling stuff out of Japan when I first got back, and after Black Monday in '87, that's when I bailed out and joined the city full time. So it was kind of weird, Went to college and went for all this stuff, engineering and art, and ended up working on the beach.
hey, I mean, we never know going in.
You got to keep the dream alive. Everybody my mom freaked out the most, but it made me laugh. But she told me, you can do anything you want as long as it makes you happy. Well, I think I got had one of the best jobs. I wake up every day and go to the beach and get paid for it and make sure nobody gets dead.
Okay. Well, let's get your starting point, man. What grade you started coming here?
I think second.
Who did I second grade? Second grade. Lavon Richardson told me she started second grade.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
actually, I think I got in kindergarten, but I didn't want to go. I was living in Kalihi Valley on Perry Street when I was, a little kid, and so I went to Kapalam, I think, kindergarten and first grade. And then we moved right at the top of the hill, from the terminal.
Yeah.
Right at the top is Hanai Loop on the left. So we moved over there when I was in second grade. And that's when I took the test and got in again. And that's when I went. So
Oh, right on. Do you have siblings, Tony?
I'm the last of eight. So
Wow. Okay.
my
A
older
lot of our
brother, Greg,
classmates have come from a lot, pretty good sized families. So,
yeah, back in the day, that was it. You needed the army, right? To make the village go, right? So,
hey, yeah. I mean, you need that labor force.
yeah, now you couldn't do that. There's no way you can afford it. So,
I forget, I was talking to somebody and they heard another family had 7 or 8 kids. He said, "Oh, they're making their own hula halal."
yeah. Yep.
Okay, so I know you swam in high school, right? Competitively and stuff, didn't you?
I played water polo. Well, I,
Okay,
I started swimming when we were young. I think I swam with that's how Levon and Kim Kroll and a bunch of us. We even Kimo McClellan, right? Swimmers,
yeah.
but and then I kind of bailed that because I was tired of it, and I started surfing. And then I think it was Vern Hinckley and Jeff Chun that got me into the water polo thing. And after that, the story ended. I did that all the way through college. In fact, the grandkids now, my Hanai grandkids, they both play. So it's kind of
So
cool.
when we graduated high school, did you kind of have a plan in your head, or what did you want to go for? You
Yeah, well,
mentioned
actually,
engineering, so
yeah. When we graduated, I had applied to a whole bunch of about I think 4 or 5 colleges. So and I got into three of them, but University of the Pacific in Stockton, they offered me a scholarship because in my grades and financial and all this stuff. So pretty much my freshman year, my mom them just paid for my plane ticket, and Jeff went with me too. Jeff Chun went there too.
oh,
So
right on.
yeah, so it's kind of cool. We flew up on the same plane and ended up we were roommates for the first year or two or whatever, and then we kind of split up, and he had his own place, and I went and had my own place, but it was kind of cool. So
And
it
you
was
you
nice.
finished up your 4 years or whatever there at
Yeah,
UP?
I finished the art half. I was a double major, so I finished the art half in '79, and I had I think two and a half more years to go with the to get the PPE, and I was kind of burnt. So I came home. I was thinking, I'll just take a break and then go back. I didn't know what happened after that. I never went back, but anyway, I don't think I'd change anything. I think everything worked out the way
It
it was
all
supposed to
it
work
all
out.
fit in place like your puzzle, eh?
Yep, yep. But yeah, for that time we had it all kind of planned out as to what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it, and But at least I graduated with 1 out of 2, so
Hey,
all
that's
good.
more than a lot of us. I graduated with none out of, well, I didn't even graduate. I went 2.5 years and then decided I didn't learn well in a classroom. So,
Yeah, no,
which,
college is rough. I think the calculus test the first year was like one question. It took 3 hours and 4 pages of calculations. It was crazy.
uh, well, I
But
think what hurt me is I wasn't structured enough. You go college and nobody's taking roll. Nobody cares if you show up,
right.
So I kind of went, oh, wow. Okay. So I'll just sleep through this semester. And obviously that doesn't help you in the end. But now I have a question, and it's purely a personal question for me. But how and where in your life did you start playing harmonica, man?
Oh man, I think it was sixth grade. I
Oh,
heard
okay.
I heard John Mayall Room to Move on the radio, and my brother had a harmonica, and I started playing that. I used to walk. Sometimes I'd walk up to school from my house, or walking home too, instead of catching the bus because I live right there, and just started fooling around with it until I learned how to play it note for note, and then the rest was kind of history. All I needed was the right key, and everything kind of came out of the head. So, but yeah,
Cause, cause like during high school, you weren't in like band or anything, orchestra or
nope, nope.
okay.
I know, Brother Nolan them always used to play, and I think Philip used to play. There was a bunch of guys that played. I was kind of like one of those guys that just kind of hung out on the side, and then I don't know. I used to play with records, and it was kind of weird because I was, kind of shy and like playing in front of people. And then I ended up meeting Tony Tam Singh and Chris Rago, and life changed.
So
After that,
you got to play kind of commercially?
well, no, I used to go down to clubs and play with them, but they used to let me jam whenever I walked in, and they played some unbelievable stuff. So, um, yeah, it was fun. It was all fun, and I never stopped, playing on pretty much on and off. It's been good. It's I don't know. It's
Well, it
it's one of
seems
those
like it
things.
could be relaxing if you were good at it. It seemed like it would be relaxing, release a lot of energy, and
Oh yeah, it's a total release, dude. It's and it comes straight from over here. Huh? So you let the ears do the listening, and the rest just comes out. That's part of
yeah.
you. So that's the way I always looked at it. That's how I have fun. So
Well,
I always
it's a lot of times when people have a certain talent, it starts inside and it's kind of natural. It's not like, oh, they taught me how to do this because I think with harmonica music, it's gotta just come from what you feel.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just weird, but yeah. I've always liked the instrument. I played some flute for a while, for about 10, 15 years. My brother-in-law found one, and I did a self-taught thing, and I was playing that for a while. I haven't touched that in probably about 10 years. So, but
Mm.
yeah, my sister had Alzheimer's dementia, and so for about 10 years I was taking care of her. So it was kind of rough. I didn't play music after that pretty much. It was kind of 24/7 kind, but that
Yeah.
was one of the best learning experiences of my life. You learn a lot about humility and a bunch of other stuff, and patience, and You got to grow some thick skin, but that's the other thing that comes out, with life.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think it helps you grow.
oh yeah, yeah. I think I'm a better
Now,
person for it.
yeah. Now, along the way, by chance, did you ever notice if music had a special connection with your sister while she was in your care?
Well, it's funny because like I think my brother played percussions. My other brother played guitar, piano. He was the one that gave me a harmonica. And my sister had a rock and roll band in the '70s. She played guitar, and sang. So music was kind of always in our family. So it was all around us all the time. And my dad used to listen to those red records, flamenco records, from the '50s and '60s. So he used to rock me in the chair when I was a kid, and I'd listen to that stuff. So
Yeah.
I think it kind of just got stuck in there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, for about 10 years, I worked maintenance in a long-term healthcare facility, and I would hear things where they said in cases where memory was faulty,
Yeah.
music would have a way to kick back in and reconnect stuff.
Yeah, yeah. No, my sister had that too. She'd recognize songs and stuff like that. But she had her dementia was temporal frontal. So the first thing that went was her ability to speak and stuff like that. So
Oh,
it, you know, that was the hardest part of anything because you couldn't tell whether she was, hurting or this or that or whatever. So you just kind of rolled with it. But I always used to play music when we were at home or in the car or whatever it is, and she always seemed to enjoy it. So
yeah.
it was cool.
Now, in your career as a what's the term? Is the term lifeguard or is it water
Yeah,
safety?
ocean safety officer is now the new standard, but yeah, yeah, it's pretty much lifeguarding. The department came, super far. It went from Parks and Recs and from being blue collar Unit 3 with teachers all the way to its own entity. I think when I became a lieutenant in 2004 is the first time we started upgrading and everybody started becoming full on EMTs. So,
Oh,
which
okay.
I've been an EMT for 25 years. So, but it made it much more professional now because now we weren't just waiting for the ambulance and not knowing what to do other than the CPR stuff and whatever. Now
Yeah.
we knew exactly what to do. I mean, blood pressure, this, that, that, that. So when the ambulance came, they were bag tagged and wrapped, ready to go. You just give them all the stuff and they took them straight to the ambulance and go. So your turnaround and your percentage of succeeding, in whatever the ailments is or whatever is increased. It got better. So I
Well,
think
yeah,
now it's
it's like
getting
a
even better.
second extra level of care in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all the fire guys do that now. So, that was the whole deal, right? Was getting, tied in with everybody. So everyone was on the same page. So we weren't just the guys down at the beach anymore. We were actually people that could handle a lot of stuff. So it became
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So did the organization start uh pre-qualifying applicants or they train you on the job? It's like you don't have to walk in with any medical.
Well, you had to walk in with certain stuff in your CPR and your first aid and all that kind of stuff. But the EMT and stuff is like a whole nother level, right? It's different. So that was pretty much on a voluntary basis. And but when we got in, it was state funded. So because the classes are like they take a while. It's like a grand or so. So we got to do it. They had some sort of rural grant, so we got to do it for free. They trained us for free. We went up to KCC, and I think it took like I don't know 8 weeks, a couple months. It was tough. So it was a really tough class. So you went at night, and then they did live scenarios with the ambulance guys and all that kind of stuff. So your tests were all just like the national tests. So it was pretty
Wow. Now, ocean safety, is that a state deal where all you guys are connected, or is that a county where you're separated, or
We actually we're city and county. So I
okay.
think I think the Big Island and Maui converged with fire. So kind of like California. California did that too. Honolulu didn't do that. Fire is their own entity, so it was kind of hard to, I guess, merge with them. The two departments didn't think it was a good idea, I guess, or whatever, or I don't know. There's too much
Hmm.
political stuff going on. So, but basically now we were at part of EMS for a while there, and now we're our own separate entity. So we have our own unit now, our own bargaining unit. So it's just the ocean safety. Excuse me, just the ocean safety now. It's not part of anybody else. We're our own. So which makes it a lot better, you know.
Okay. Do you see an advantage or disadvantage over how Maui and Big Island are doing it, or same, just in different ways?
Yeah, I think it's just the same and in different ways. I think basically it worked up there for them because the numbers were smaller. I think we have the largest number in the state. So, but when we went through all the stuff for the union stuff and trying to get all these things passed, everybody from all the islands came down. I was a shop steward too for the union, so we'd all conglomerate on the best ways possible to make things progress for each of our units and each of our city and county and states or whatever. So
Yeah.
um, everybody was on the same page. That it was kind of cool. Archie
Yeah.
Kalepa, I think, was from Maui, and what Mr. Vieira, Kalani Vieira, was from Kauai, and it had a couple other guys from the Big Island. So yeah, it kind of all worked out. But it took years. I'm actually glad that it actually all happened because now everything is pretty much kind of advanced. I hope they stay with the EMT thing, but the jet ski program is great. They're getting more people involved in it in the communities, the schools, the kids with the junior guards, CPR. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Hopefully,
Yeah. So which direction did Kauai go? Same as Big Island, or like you guys were
yeah,
on Oahu?
yeah, same thing. I think Kauai did the same thing.
Okay. So you say you ended in 23, you finished up as a lieutenant then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
So,
I was the guy. I was the guy with the black shirt on the rescue 911.
oh, okay. That's okay.
I ended up being that guy.
So you still touch stand in water as a lieutenant.
Yeah, yeah, that was
Okay.
the hard part, because actually that's how that's why I kind of left because as a lieutenant, you still got to do all the tests. You still got to do all the run swims. It's not one of those things where you're grandfathered into it. So whether you're 16 or 60, you got to pass the same test. So, um, which made it good for me because I didn't want to sit in the office. That's the reason probably why I didn't want to be an engineer was sitting in the office back in the day. That's what it was,
Yeah.
and I didn't. I wanted to do stuff and make stuff. So it ended up being kind of good. So
Now I've seen a couple episodes of that show, and unfortunately it's not on because I like how it shone a light on you guys' job.
right,
I mean the realities of it. I'm sure you ran into a lot of low beachgoers who got
yeah,
themselves into trouble by not paying attention or not listening.
yeah. I think that's one of the hardest things of all. Is you can sit there and tell them you can make a sign that's like 30 by 20 feet, and they'll walk right past it without even looking at it. It's amazing how that works. Um, but that's part of it. So our job, when we started before, we just wait. Now our job was more proactive than reactive. So you try and shut them down before they even hit the water. That way you don't have to get wet. You don't have to put yourself in danger. You don't have to put them in danger, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah.
if you can do that and keep it that way, and still not be and still not yell and swear at them, then
Well,
then it was okay. Then you had a good day.
man,
Yeah.
They probably have to soundproof your tower sometimes when you want to go inside Ed.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. At one point we sometimes we sit there. I mean, way back in the early days, we sit there and we let them, start choking a little bit before we went down there and got him. And then when you pull him on, it's like you're talking right at him again. The same guy you talked to 20 minutes ago. You go, didn't I just got you telling you not to do that? And now here I am. And then they kind of, you do that in front of everybody on the beach, and then they kind of pick up their stuff and leave. So, yeah, that's what the megaphone was really good for, you know.
Brother, I already told you, and now I'm
Yeah,
wet.
you
My
you in the
plate
red
lunch is
shirt, yeah,
getting
like the
cold.
one I talked to 15 times. You in the red shirt. I told you not to go over there. Yeah,
Oh man.
it was a good one.
Like you're working with toddlers full time,
Oh
yeah?
yeah, it was bad. It was total bad. So, yeah,
No. Now, in your 40-year career, I'm also curious the physical testing you got to do to keep qualifying. Did that
yeah,
grow and change over the years, or was it the same test from day one that you would
same
have to?
test.
Okay. What are
Yeah,
the
same.
specifics of that, Tony?
It was a thousand run swim in the under 25 minutes. So you go from the Ewa side, Alamona Beach, all the way down to the Magic Island side, and then you swim all the way back. You got to make that in 25 or less. And then they did a run, swim, run, and a paddleboard. I think the paddleboard was 4 minutes, and the run, swim, run was something else. But yeah, everybody, everybody did that. So it didn't matter how young or how old you was. If you couldn't do that, you couldn't pass. So I
How
can still
many
pretty much do it, except my leg is all moo. So I used to do it the walk, swim, walk. So I kind of walk fast and then swim faster and then walk fast again. Nah,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Oh, that's
but it was a
wow.
good thing. It kept you in shape, and then because the last thing you want to do is be a liability instead of an asset. I think that's the reason why I stopped in 23 was I got hurt. And I still, because I've had, a bunch of neck and back injuries and surgeries and all that stuff. But the last one, they wanted to fuse me in like three places, and I didn't want to go through that again. So I just, uh, I just said it was time. And especially what happened was we had a rescue in Lanikai, and I was running down the right way with the backboard, and the patient was on it, and I don't have a reflex nerve in my right leg anymore. It took me a year just to do PT to pass all the stuff, the running stuff. And then it buckled, a year and a half after I got back, it buckled again. So I kind of really don't have control of it. And had that lady had a neck or a back injury, I'd have probably hurt her. So that
Mm,
was the day that, the light bulb went out. Click, that's enough. I don't need to prove anything anymore. I don't need to do anything anymore. But the last thing I want to do is hurt somebody that I'm trying to help. So
yeah.
that's when I decided to just walk away. So, but
Now,
it's good.
somewhat recently, I saw a YouTube video, and I want to ask about technology in ocean safety. They had this little, like a remote controlled boat or something that would pull a flotation device out to somebody driving. I mean, somebody drowning or having trouble. Anything like
Yeah.
that in Hawaii's ocean safety, or
No, they've got a bunch of stuff. I know probably New Zealand and Australia and California are the three major league ones that are using that kind of stuff. I know one, they have the drone. They got a drone that can fly a tube out and drop it to somebody that's in trouble offshore until we can actually stabilize them, go out and get them, and try and bring them in or put them on a ski or whatever it is. And then
yeah.
of course the motorized thing that you were talking about. I've seen some stuff on it, but they haven't pretty much implemented any of that stuff here. Um, so as
I
far
was
as I
just curious because it seems like anything to get a flotation aid out faster than you can possibly swim has got to help somehow, some way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, the killer thing about it now, right, pretty much now is, with the jet skis that we have right now, I think there's We got 2 units in Kailua. We got 2 units in Hawaii Kai. We got 3 units in Waikiki. Another couple in Ala Moana. So and they're on on the water pretty much every day. So when the call comes, those guys are usually probably within 5 to 7 minutes away from pretty much anything, unless you have to go like in between Coco Head and Diamond Head is that blind spot. The whole Aina Haina, Wailupi, New Valley. That's a really long stretch. It's all houses, right? So to find people out there, you got to probably pull skis from both sides. That's how we used to do it.
Mm.
Um,
And then I
but
didn't hear you mention like West Side, Waianae, Nanakuli,
West Side,
Miley,
I think West Side's got like four.
and how about North Shore?
North Shore, same thing. The program's increased. I'm not exactly sure on the numbers, but there's a lot more operators and a lot more skis. I know the fire department had them for a while. They had the jet skis and stuff like that, and all of those things got turned over to us. So
Oh,
everything
okay.
everything switched. Yeah. So,
Okay.
but it switched off for the better. It was
Yeah.
we're already there. So usually fire and ambulance always show up when we have a case. So but there's when they were showing up with the jet ski before we actually found out what was happening. That's when it became sort of a problem. But I think everything came full circle, and everybody's in the same on the same game playing plan right now. So it makes everything a lot easier. Everything runs smoother. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it took a while, but
Yeah.
like everything else, it doesn't happen overnight. It's years of banging your head against the wall
Yeah.
for a little while. But as long as it happens, you know,
Yeah,
that's
you
I'm
you
good
you
with that.
mentioned you mentioned that powerful P word politics earlier.
Yeah.
I can just see where, two hard heads going at it, each with
Oh
different
yeah.
ideas, and nobody like give in. And
Yep. Yep. It's yeah. It's that's a tough one. That's always going to be there. So that's why when you guys vote or when we vote or put somebody up in office, you got to make sure that somebody actually cares about what's going on and
yeah.
listens and whatever.
Now, did you ever see any or all of that Rescue High Surf show that they just got done saying this year?
Yeah, I'd watch it every once in a while. If I was home, I'd catch it. It
I'm
was actually some of it was pretty fun, and I mean, I worked with that guy, um, Coleman. So he worked at Kaimana Beach to a hotel. So yeah, he was actually working for us before that thing happened, and then he quit and went to do that stuff. And I think Brian Kehlana them were still part of the water crew and everything on that. So it was,
yeah,
some people liked it, some people hated it. There was some good stuff on it. There was some funny stuff on it, just like anything else. It's TV. I mean, come on.
yeah,
But
yeah.
a lot of stuff was more toward the better part of it than bullshit part of it. Excuse my French.
Good, good. I mean, that's important
Yeah.
when the
So
public is making their decisions based on what they see, which, like you say,
yeah.
how much percent BS and how much percent
Right.
useful,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, in your personal life, are you a dad? Are you a father, a grandfather, or
Well, I had so I have two unmarried sons. So when I from the two long range relationships that I had, and raised both of the boys, Dominic and Nicholas. So, but Nicholas, my son, I call him my son, but he's got the grandbabies, three of them. So, and Kaya she plays water polo for Iolani, and then Coral plays water polo for Midpack.
all
And
right on?
we're all pretty tight. So that's my family thing, other than my regular family and all my brothers and sisters and the 50,000 million nieces and nephews and grandnieces and nephews. You know how that works, right? I'm the last of eight, so I was an uncle at eight. I mean,
Yeah. You
but
probably
yeah,
have nieces and nephews that are a year or two younger than you, probably.
exactly. I do. I actually have two. So,
Mhm.
and they have kids who have kids already. So yeah, you know how the drill goes with that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so always,
So,
always the kids around somewhere. Even when we did the junior guards thing, it's always fun. But yeah.
yeah. So your two Hanai sons, they are they old enough to live on their own yet, or are they with
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah.
Or
I think Nick's 42. His oldest daughter, Kaya, she's gonna be 17 in June. So, and
wow,
then and then Dominic, he's chief in the Navy, and he's living in Virginia. And his son is, I think, 11 or 12, Lennox. So
Lennox, that's a cool name, man. I
yeah,
like that
cool
name.
name. Yeah, unreal. He's an unreal kid. So, but yeah, that's that's the one of the good things that's happened. Is out of all the stuff that can go wrong is you never forget the kids, right? So, well, I told them both when they were little. I'll never walk away from them. So I've never have. So always they still call me pops or dad or whatever, which is fine with me. I always call them son. So, but
Yeah,
been
it
good.
is awesome.
It's good.
Good, good. We gonna get to see you at reunion?
I will be at Natsunoya Tea House definitely. Oh, and by
Right
the way,
on.
how old is Hana, bro? Is it your birthday today?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank
Mahalo.
you for blessing me with your presents on your birthday, bro. In fact, here it is. I got a Bloody Mary just for you on a Sunday.
That's how to do. That's how to do. Um,
That's
I've been enjoying these. Are you on Facebook very much?
I'm on and off, yeah. But I
Okay.
check that. That's how a lot of I keep track with a lot of friends, and a lot of birthdays and all kinds of stuff pop up with that one. But
Yeah, I try to do a lot of that on our class page, but the reason I asked is I'm starting to take all these sessions and load them on my YouTube page so people who don't go on Facebook so much can still watch them. Yeah,
oh, cool, awesome.
yeah. So I'm gonna put
Yeah,
that
no,
up
I've
on
seen
there. Yeah.
I've seen a couple of them. It's pretty funny. That's why when you texted me, I started laughing. I was just like, I wonder how he got my name out of the hat.
I'm just got them all in one big hat, and randomly I'll just
Yep.
grab and pull because I would love ideal situation. I would love to talk to everybody that's still with us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
I'm
I
amazed at
cut the one
how
you did with Keela, and so after I seen Keela on it, I was just like, when you texted me, I go, well, if Keela did it, I gotta do it. 'Cause I still run into him a lot, here.
yeah.
He's hilarious, but unbelievable fisherman, bro. And he can cook some good stuff too, man. I enjoy it.
It just popped in my head, Tony. Did you work with any of our classmates in ocean safety?
Oh, let's see, who went to school with us that worked. I know. God, I actually forgot a couple of them, but yeah, I did. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Okay.
Um, I know. Ryan Fernandez was younger. He worked with me. Randy Cockett or Randy Kelly he was older than us. He worked with us. Um, Shoot, there's a bunch of other ones. I just off the top of
Yeah.
my head, I haven't thought about that in a while.
And are you by chance currently in touch with Jeff Chun?
Yeah, I see him. Maybe a couple times a year. We
Okay.
always get together, like usually during Christmas and certain. His birthday is like a week away from mine, so I always keep in touch with him. We've kept in touch ever since we were like in seventh grade.
Right on.
But
Do you know where he went as far as occupation or
yeah, he got his engineering degree. I think it was managerial because him and I both went for engineering. So he went from I think managerial. I went for electrical. So, but he got his, and then he was helping run his dad's company, and then he went and worked for somebody else. I forgot, but
okay.
I think he might have just retired, but I'm not sure. I know his mom's going through what my sister was going through, so when everything happens like that, as far as Alzheimer's or dementia, or when your ohana is getting older, right? You got to take care of. So I think him and the sister and the brother were helping take care of him. I'm not sure. But
Yeah, it's tough. I got in touch with, I don't know if you remember, I think it was our junior year. We had an exchange student named Jack Miller.
yeah, I remember Jack.
Yeah, and I touched base with him, but he's going to where like his dad and his wife's mom are both in the same. So he and his wife are like, you know,
Dude, it's
120 hours a week,
I
just
tell you, man, that's one of the hardest things, in town. So when when you meet those good caregivers, the ones that really, really care, those people are blessed beyond all hell get loose. They don't even make enough money. They should be paid like 10 times more than that because it's gnarly, you know.
yeah,
You got to feed them and change them and watch them, you got to turn the water off. You got to pretty much take all the outlets away, and you can't have any sharp edges and all kinds of weird stuff, all the simplest little thing, bro. It's just like child proofing an adult is what it comes down to.
yeah.
That's it in a nutshell.
And I never stopped to think how physically grueling I work, like I said, in a healthcare facility and doing maintenance, but the staff would talk about, somebody suddenly drops back dead weight and you
Yep.
try to go catch them or something. And I mean, they're wrecking backs and tearing
Oh yeah,
muscles.
dude.
And I mean,
And then they get hurt if they hit something. My sister fell down, standing there and just, passed out and fell down, hit the bedpost, bing, all of a sudden it stitches, in the head. So, all that kind of stuff. After a while, you gotta, you taco sheet them, so they kind of get up out of the bed at night. You got to pretty much stay somewhere. I had the camera where every time they move, the thing go ding, wake me up. So it's just like 24/7 all over. You're just like, because you don't like them get hurt, right? So anyway, but yeah, bless those guys. It's tough.
that's awesome, man. Well, I can't thank you enough, man, for saying the yes. I you've had an interesting life, and it's just like you say though, being able to go and enjoy what you're doing,
Yeah,
that's valuable beyond belief to me. I mean,
yeah. I
getting
mean,
to
it used to crack me up, because Brock Little worked with us, he was a surfer and stuff like that. But every time I used to see him, he used to always he'd give me the line. I go, "What's going on, Brock?" He'd always tell me, living the dream, bro, living the dream. And it's pretty much was it. But yeah, that's what keeps you going, because a lot of people don't like what they do, And they wake up, they hate going to work, But for me, it was just like, hey, dang, I ride my bike to go get the truck to go to the beach, every day. So it was actually kind of cool.
right on. Well, man, I look forward to seeing and talking with you a little bit at the reunion.
Yes, sir. Well, I'll definitely be there at the tea thing on Friday. The Saturday luau, I'm going to try and make that. I got some other stuff that I'm supposed to be at, but we'll see.
Right on. Well, Natsu Noyas, if nothing else, my man.
I will be there, guarantee, my friend.
Big mahalo. I appreciate you so much.
All right. Always a pleasure, brother.